Hi there, I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel Made by Cath Craft. Thank you so much for joining me today for another one of my vlogs. So today it is a really grey day outside. It's really overcast and windy. I can see little leaves sort of scuttling along on the pavement outside. So it's a great day to stay inside. And what I thought I'd do was get out all of my Tilly and the Buttons dresses and share them with you. I'm a big fan of Tilly and the Buttons patterns. They're the first indie pattern company I started sewing with when I started sewing. And I really like how their instructions are really clear and they have really nice colour photographs for every step of the sewing process. And I also like how their clothes are really wearable. So I often find myself reaching for a Tilly and the Buttons outfit on a daily basis just because they're comfy and not too dressy, which is just my style. And so I've been sewing for, I guess, coming up to 3 years now, I think it is. And over that time I've accumulated quite a few dresses made using Tilly and the Buttons patterns. So yeah, I've got them all out here, they're all spread out in my living room here, and I'm looking forward to sharing them all with you. So I usually start my vlogs by sharing what I'm wearing, but today I am wearing a dress that I made using a Tilly and the Buttons sewing pattern. So I'll share more details about this dress when I get to that pattern later in the vlog. But I thought I'd start with the first Tilly and the Buttons dress pattern I sewed. And yeah, I thought that'd be a good place to start, and it came from this book here. It is a Tilly and the Buttons stretch book, which is a book all about sewing with jersey and knit fabrics. And if you've seen my previous vlogs, you'll probably guess which my favourite dress pattern is in this book. It is the Freya dress, and it also comes with a top. And it's a really lovely simple dress pattern for jersey fabrics. It's quite a fitted silhouette with a kind of A-line style skirt, and you can make it with a long sleeve or a shorter length sleeve too. And there are different necklines available, so Freya is quite a flexible pattern, I think. You can make the mock neckline, which is this version here. There's also a roll neck option and a cowl neck option. So I think it's a really versatile pattern, and I really like the fit on me, and I've made a few versions. In terms of sizing, it's not the biggest size range ever. It's one of Tilly and the Buttons' older patterns, so it comes in that old size range, which is a UK 6 to a UK 20. And the UK 6 is for bust 30 inches, waist 24 inches, hips 33. And then it goes up to size 8, which is bust 44 inches, waist 38 inches, hips 47 inches. So unfortunately, it isn't the biggest size range. But let me show you my versions. So my first version I made was using this fabric here, which is a really pretty jersey fabric with a navy base and these little dragonflies on in kind of a geometric pattern. And I made the mock neck version, and then it's got the long sleeves and it's got the A-line skirt, you can see. Now this is actually my second version of this exact dress. I first sewed this dress, it was my first go sewing a Freya. And I sewed it in this fabric, but I sewed it quite early in my sewing journey, and I've made it a little bit too small and a little bit too short. So I think I used the size 2, but I didn't grade out the hips, and my hips are slightly larger than a size 2. And so it was always a little bit tight on the hips. And also I think I cut it a bit short, and I don't know whether it may have shrunk a little bit in the wash too. So it got to the point with my first version where I was a little bit uncomfortable wearing it because it didn't feel like it fitted so well, or yeah, it was a bit too short. So I was really glad, if you've seen one of my fairly recent vlogs, I think of the summer, that I spotted there was a bit of this fabric left online on an online fabric shop, and I had looked before but I hadn't found any, so I was really surprised this came up. So I remade this dress because I liked it so much and I really love the colour. This is my second version. This time I made it a bit longer and I graded out to a size 3 at the hip, so I used a size 2 at the bust and waist and graded out to size 3 at the hips, and it's a much more comfortable fit for me. And I'll put a picture up of me wearing it. I'm really glad I was able to get some more fabric to have the opportunity to remake this one, because I really loved the fabric and the style, and yeah, it was nice to remake it with a bit more sewing knowledge and a bit more knowledge of my body and how I like things to fit. So that's my first Freya. So I really enjoyed sewing that Freya dress. I think that was, yeah, pretty much 3 years ago when I started sewing. So I made a couple more in quick succession. And funnily enough, I haven't made many since, just because I made these ones fairly early in my sewing journey and I've really enjoyed wearing them, so I didn't feel the need to make more. So the second one I made was in this really cute fabric with bees on it, another navy base, because I do love a navy dress. I think they just go with everything, and particularly because it's quite a wintry dress, I think navy's quite a great colour for winter. But yeah, it's this fabric with bees on. I can't remember where I bought it. If I can, I'll pop it down below. But yeah, it's really cute jersey fabric, and I made this one in the same size as my original Freya, but somehow this one seems to fit a bit better. I don't know why, and I made it a bit longer too, so I'm glad I can still wear this one because I'm not sure if I'd be able to find this fabric again. So that's my second version, my bee print Freya, and again I made that with a mock neck. I then decided to have a go at the cowl neck because I really like the look of that one too. And so I made it using some really lovely fabric, and I remember where this fabric came from. It came from Stoff and Still, and I think they might have rebranded now. They might be called, I think it might have changed their name to Self-Made, but I'll include a link to the website because they do have lovely fabrics, particularly their jerseys and their viscose fabrics are really nice. So this is my cowl neck version of the Freya, and I made it using this really pretty jersey fabric. Again, it's a cotton jersey, just like the first two. And it has these really large tulips on, and I really love the tulips, one of my favourite flowers. So I thought it was really nice fabric. And this fabric I bought and I ummed and ahed for a while on what to do, but I thought I'd go for a Freya because I knew it was one I'd definitely wear. And I made a cowl neck, which you can kind of see here. So it makes it quite a cosy dress to wear because of the cowl neck. And the cowl neck sews in really nicely. This is a really nice straightforward pattern to sew, I find, because it's got a stand-up neckline or the cowl neckline. You don't have to worry about getting the neckband to lie flat like you would say on this type of garment. So yeah, it comes together really quickly. The cowl neck one line does require a bit more fabric. I think I can usually squeeze a Freya out of 1.5 meters if it's a non-directional fabric. But I think for the cowl neck, you might need slightly more fabric just because there's quite a lot of fabric there because there's sort of fabric on both sides of the cowl neck. But that is my third version, and I'll put up a picture of me wearing that one. I really like it, and it's funny, it's one of those dresses I don't wear that much because I like it so much, which is silly. I should wear it more often because I think it's a really pretty one. So my last Freya dress I have to share is a bit of a funny one because it took me a very long time to sew this one up. I cut this Freya dress out quite soon after I had made my first 3 Freya dresses when I was kind of in a phase of really enjoying sewing that dress. And then I actually didn't sew it up until 2 years later when I finally got out the pattern piece I cut and thought, right, I need to get this sewn up, and I did sew it up. And the reason I left this one so long is because there is a version of the Tilly and the Buttons Freya dress that has a ruffle around the neck, and it's this version here. It's a really cute version, I think. Yeah, the neck ruffle is really pretty and adds a bit of different thing to the dress. And I really thought I'd like to have a go at that version, but the pattern recommends you make it in a fabric that doesn't fray, like a ponte, so that you don't have to finish the edge of the ruffle. And I didn't really read that bit of the fabric recommendations when I bought some fabric for this dress, and also I'm not a big fan of ponte anyway, so I probably wouldn't have gone for it. So I bought some cotton jersey instead, and then I got it and I cut it all out and thought, oh no, I don't know how to deal with that edge in a jersey fabric, because I knew it wouldn't fray, but it would curl and it wouldn't look very neat. So I was fairly early in my sewing journey then. I didn't really know what to do, so I just put it away and kind of forgot about it. So then a couple of years later, I thought I need to get this out and give it a go. And actually, I think with a couple of more years of sewing experience, I was much more confident about just finding a solution. And it was quite a straightforward solution in the end. This is my version in this really pretty purple colour. Yeah, I really like the colour, and I thought a simple colour kind of suits it because of the frill adds a bit more of a kind of fuss to it. So I didn't want a kind of pattern as well. But yes, this is my version in a purple cotton jersey. What I ended up doing with the ruffle was I ended up finishing both edges. So under here, I've sort of just turned it under and hemmed it. And I also turned it under on the top edge too, and then just stitched it in place. So you can see, yeah, it's just stitched in place round. So actually it was really straightforward. It just required both edges to be turned under slightly to give a little hem, and you can't see those bits. So I think it's come out quite nicely. I'll put a picture of me wearing it. I really like this version actually. I don't often wear purple as a colour, but I do think it's quite a pretty colour. And it was a fun version to sew, and I'm glad I managed to fix the neckline issue. The only other change I made is, I think on the original Freya with the ruffle's designed to go all the way around the back too, and I didn't really want to take it all the way around the back. I thought it would just bother me a little bit at the back. If I wore a cardigan, it might kind of stick up and things. So I just sewed the ruffle into the sleeve hem, as you can see, not sleeve, into the shoulder seam, that's what it means. I just sewed the ruffle into the shoulder seam instead, just to finish it and give it a ruffle on the front, and I quite like how that looks. So that is my final Freya dress. Yeah, it's a great pattern, definitely one of my favourite dress patterns by Tilly and the Buttons, and I might make another one day if I see a fabric that really catches my eye, but I'm really happy wearing those 4 still now. So the next dress I've got to share is another one I made with one of the older Tilly and the Buttons dress sewing patterns, and this time it's a pattern for woven fabrics, but it's another pattern that's great for beginners, and it is the Bateen Dress. And it's funny because I remember when I started sewing, I saw quite a few versions of this dress, but I haven't seen so many recently, I guess because newer patterns have come out. But it's a really nice shape to it. I'll show you the line drawings. So yeah, it's designed for woven fabrics, although I have seen a couple of versions in jersey fabrics, so I think it can be hacked to make it in jersey fabrics too. But yeah, it's recommended woven fabrics. It's got a elasticated waist and a kind of blousey bodice with grown-on sleeves and a kind of scoop neck. And then it's got kind of a tulip style skirt. And you can add little cuffs to the sleeves and little tabs too. So a few nice details on this one. And yeah, it's another pattern for beginners, and it's another one that I made quite early in my sewing journey. So yeah, I quite enjoyed, again, the fact that the instructions are really simple and easy to follow, and I learned a few new skills on it, like adding a facing, I think, and making an elastic channel and that sort of thing. So yeah, and this is my version here. And I made this using an Atelier Brunette cotton lawn. I think it's cotton lawn, it's quite a lightweight cotton. It's really pretty. It's got a kind of sort of orangey red colour background with little poppies on it. And I added in the pockets. I think when I was doing this, I wanted to up my skill level, and it said if you want to try upping your skill level, add the pockets, so I thought I would. And I've got the little cuffs on the sleeves, but I didn't add the tabs because I thought that might make it a little bit too top heavy for me on the shoulders. This is my version, and I put a picture of me wearing it. You might have seen in a fairly recent vlog I did, where it was called my handmade wardrobe edit. I talked a bit about this dress and how it's a little bit tight on the hips. Again, I think it was quite early when I started sewing, and I hadn't really got that much confidence with grading patterns. So I think I made the straight size 2, which suits my bust and hips, because it's my bust and waist, because it's a 32-inch bust, which is me, and a 26-inch waist, which is me. But the size 2 is for 35-inch hips, and I'm a 37-inch hips. And I've found from talking to other people as well that this pattern does come up fairly snug on the hips, so it's a particularly bad one for me not to grade up on. So it is a little bit snug on the hips. I haven't yet tried to modify this dress yet, because I'm a little bit precious about it. I really love the fabric, and I do enjoy wearing, and I can wear it just as long as I don't stride too wide or anything. But actually recently I've got a suitcase in the loft of like decent sized pieces of fabric that I kind of keep, and every now and then I get some pieces out and use them for pockets or that sort of thing. And I actually went up and found I had a fair amount of this fabric left over. I'm not sure if I've got enough to completely redo the skirt, but I might be able to slightly refashion to give me a bit more room at the hips. So it's kind of on my to-do list, but I haven't got around to it yet because I don't really want to start messing with it too much. But to be honest, this is one of my earlier makes, and all the seams are finished with a zigzag instead of an overlock. So it might benefit from maybe unpicking the skirt and maybe adding in a bit more fabric and then overlocking to make it last a bit better too. So that is my Bateen dress. I've only made one of them. I don't know why I haven't revisited that pattern actually. So the next 2 dresses I've got to share are made using another one of Tilly's older patterns. And it's another one like the Bateen that I don't see around so much these days, but it's one I really like, and I think it's a bit different. And it's this pattern here. It's the Zaydi Dress. And this is a pattern for stretch fabrics, and it's a pattern that's designed for improvers. So yeah, it's not such a beginner pattern. And I remember when I made my first version of this, I did find it quite tricky. I was fairly inexperienced at the time, but I really loved the look of it, so I wanted to give it a go. But there's a lot of fiddly bits in terms of getting all the pieces of fabric to match up correctly, because there are quite a few bits of fabric that you have to cut out that you need to sew together on this one. But I'll show you the line drawings. It's just quite an unusual style dress. It almost makes me think a little bit of a skater dress, because it's got a sort of crew neckline, but it's got raglan sleeves, and it's got different pieces that kind of come together to make the bodice. But then there are these side pieces that come down and sort of form part of the skirt too. And then the skirt is quite full, and it's got these pleats at the front and back. So it's a really interesting construction and quite a lot of pattern pieces. And you do have to be quite accurate with your sewing, otherwise it might end up being a little bit, it wouldn't look neat where all the pieces come together. I like it, and it's got lots of opportunities for colour blocking, as you can see on the dress on the front, so you can have quite a lot of fun with this one. And in terms of fabrics, it recommends medium weight stretch knit fabrics that have a decent amount of recovery, which includes ponte, double knit, interlock and jersey. And I've made both my versions in a cotton jersey, and I think if it's a good quality cotton jersey, it'll work well. So the first version I made was this version here, and this is my kind of winter Zaydi version. And I made this using black jersey and then leopard print for the kind of skirt, and the back skirt too. And I made it using a leopard print panel at the front too, but the back's black, so just add a bit of a feature. So it's got these big pockets and this channel down the side, And I really like it actually. It's one I always enjoy wearing, this one. It's quite cosy actually, I think, because there's lots of fabric and lots of seams. Yeah, it feels like a bit more, I guess maybe a bit more bulky than say the Freya dress because of the seams, but it is really cosy to wear. This is my first version and I did find it a challenge to sew, and I sewed the size 2 of this pattern, I think. I didn't bother grading out for the hips on this one. I think there's loads of room in this dress because it's more of a full skirt, so the hip measurement is a bit less critical. But I found this version sewed up really too big for me. And I was really surprised because up until then, when I made Tilly and the Buttons patterns, size 2 was just my size. So I had to take the sides of this one quite a bit, and it ended up being at the time a bit of a pain, but I really like it now, so it was worth the kind of effort in kind of altering it and trying to get it to fit me. And then more recently, I think it might have been last summer, I thought I'd revisit the pattern and see if I could get a better fit. So I sized down on the second version, and I thought I'd make a summary version just to mix it up a little bit. And I made this version here in this really cute jersey fabric, and this one came from Lamazi Fabrics, I remember that. It's got, I think it was called Happy Allotments because it's got lots of different sort of flowers and things you might grow in the allotments. It's really pretty. I think the colours are really nice. So I made a summary version with the short sleeves. Oh, I didn't mention that. Yeah, you can make either a short sleeve version or a sort of longer sleeve version or a sort of elbow length version. So a few different options there. So I went for the short sleeve version on this one. And I made the size 1, and actually the second time round it was a lot easier to make. I knew what I was doing a lot more when it came to all the little placements of the fabric together, and I guess even if I hadn't, this kind of busy fabric would have hidden any mistakes a bit more anyway, so it's a bit more forgiving, but it all came together much better and I really enjoyed sewing this one. But this one came out a little bit tight, so I don't know whether it was just a mistake I made with the first version that ended up coming out a little bit bigger, or maybe a slight difference in the fabrics. But I really like this version. I'll put up a picture, and it is much more fitted, but I don't think it's too fitted, it's still comfortable to wear. So that's my second Zaydi. So yeah, it's a really nice pattern, as I mentioned, not one I see around so much, but a lot of fun for collar blocking, and definitely a bit more of a challenging knit sew. So that's a Zaydi dress. So the next dresses I've got to share with you are ones I made using a woven dress pattern by Tilly, and it's a more recent pattern than the ones I've been talking about before, although it's not actually that new anymore, it just feels new to me, and do find time passes quite fast in the sewing world. But I know it's still a really popular one because I'm often seeing versions pop up on Instagram. And it is the Indigo Dress and Top Pattern. And this is a pattern for confident beginners, and it's one that's available also in a slightly wider size range than the previous dresses I've talked about. This one goes up to size UK 24, which is bust 48, waist 42, hips 51, so a slightly wider size range. And it's a really lovely pattern. It's designed for light to medium weight woven fabrics, and I think it looks lovely in something that has a bit of drape particularly. It is designed to be kind of an oversized sort of smock dress. It's got bust darts, a kind of fairly high neck. It's got a gathered skirt, and you can add pockets. And it's got a couple of little interesting features. You can add a ruffle to the sleeve, and you can also add, which is quite hard to see, a little ruffle across the top of the skirt here too. So some quite pretty little features. And I've made 3 versions of this pattern. I really enjoyed sewing them, and I really enjoy wearing them too. My first version is this one here. Oh, the facing just flapped out then. This is actually, I just got this straight off the airer because it's still drying, but I thought I'd pop it in so you could see it in the flesh, and I need to go and let it finish drying and iron it as well, so the facing won't pop out. But yeah, I made this one in a really lovely viscose fabric that I got from Sew Me Sunshine. It's got a navy base, and I do love a navy, and it's got these really cute little sort of petals on it in a sort of peachy colour and sort of blue and white. Yeah, I think it's a really pretty pattern, and I made this one with a kind of bracelet sleeve version, so kind of somewhere between an elbow length and a wrist length, and I made it using, and added in the ruffle around the waist too, just for fun, and I like it. I think it adds a pretty detail. And for this version, my first version, I made a straight size 2, which is my size at the bust and waist, but I knew there was going to be loads of space in the hips, so I wouldn't need to grade out because it's really rooby at the hips, and I added in the pockets too. And I didn't make any adjustments to this version, I just made a straight size 2, and I really like this one and I wear it a lot. I'll put up a picture of me wearing it so you can see how it looks. I then went on to make another version, and this version I made exactly the same with no adjustments, and I made it using this really beautiful viscose twill fabric. This is an Atelier Brunette viscose twill, and I made this a couple of years ago, just before Halloween, and I thought it would be really nice as a dress to wear for Halloween. I wore it to a party with a witch's hat on, and it felt like quite like a fancy witch dress. Again, I added the ruffle on the waist and I made the bracelet sleeves, and again in the size 2, and it's got the pockets as well. I have to say, I didn't really enjoy sewing with this fabric. It is so lovely and soft and buttery to feel, but it really frayed. And actually, I was wearing this one a few weeks ago and I was rolling around the bed with my children having a bit of fun, and actually the seam on the waist actually tore, so I had to repair it, and I have managed to repair it and it is fine, but I think it's quite a delicate fabric, so probably not one I would wear for any rough and tumble or running around with the kids. So yeah, it is lovely though. I do think it's such a pretty fabric, but yeah, not the most practical for my life, but I do love this version. And then I went on to make one more version, and for the third version I sized down slightly because for those 2 versions the fabric was quite drapey, but for my third version the fabric is a little bit more substantial. It's a brushed viscose. I don't know whether it's viscose and some sort of blend with another material, but it's definitely a bit more substantial and slightly less drapey. So I decided to size down, and I sized down to a 1.5, so I kind of graded between size 1 and 2 for this version. And I also lengthened the bodice slightly, I think by 1/2 inch or something, just to give it a slightly different look. And because the fabric's a little bit thicker, I didn't add a ruffle, I just kept it simple with this version. So I kind of think of this dress as quite a Christmassy one in this sort of tartan fabric. It's really lovely and soft, this brushed sort of viscose style fabric. It's got pockets again. This is a really nice cosy one to wear. So I've kind of got my 2 more autumnal ones, which can be sort of made for winter with chunky tights and a chunky cardie. But this one's definitely a cosy one where you don't really need a cardie because it keeps you nice and warm. And I really love the tartan. Oh, and I made this one long sleeve too. But I'll put a picture up of this one too. The weather here at the moment isn't cold enough to wear this one, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting out when the weather does get a bit colder, and I'll love to wear it with some black tights and some black boots. That's my final indigo. Again, I think I have a pattern with some of these dresses, with the indigo and the Freya particularly. I made one version, loved it, and made a few in quick succession, and then I've kind of got my fill and moved on to other patterns. So I might make another indigo at some point. One thing I'm not so keen on with the indigo is it has a facing on the neckline, and I think if I made a version going forward, I'll probably change that to a bias binding. That's my personal preference. But I just love those versions anyway. Yeah, that's my Tilly Buttons Indigo collection. Another of Tilly's more recent dress patterns that I've sewn, and I made 2 dresses using this pattern, is this pattern here. It's the Lotta dress pattern. And it's a really nice simple sew, this one. It's one of Tilly's patterns for beginners, and it is a really straightforward sew. And what's cool about this one is you can make it in woven or jersey fabric. It's just a slightly different neckline. With the woven fabric, you use a facing, and with the jersey there's a neckband pattern piece. So yeah, there are 2 different options for this one. I'll show you the line drawings. It's quite a cute dress. It's got a sort of blousey bodice, and then you can either make it with grown on sort of short sleeves, or you can add on a long sleeve option. It's got an elasticated waist and then quite a swishy full skirt, and you can add patch pockets if you want, and there's a sort of knee length version and a sort of midi length version, so a couple of different options on the skirt length too. And it's a really nice simple sew, and I've made 2 versions. The first version I made, both my versions are in woven fabrics actually, and the first version I made was in a viscose that I was gifted by Minerva in exchange for a blog post, and I'll include the link to the blog post below in case you fancy checking it out. But I made it in this really pretty viscose. It's a ditzy monochrome viscose. Really nice to sew with, this one was. And I made it, originally I made it using the long sleeves, and I cropped the skirt slightly to make it a slightly shorter length. But I didn't find it was wearing it much, so I decided to refashion it and turn it into a short sleeve version, and I like it a lot better, so I'm glad I made that change. And I'll put a picture of me wearing it. It's a really comfy one to wear because it's got an elasticated waist and the skirt's really swishy, so it feels nice as you move around. And I made it in a straight size 2. So size 2, as I mentioned, fits my bust and waist, but this one, because it's quite a full skirt, there's loads of room around the hips, so I didn't need to grade out to size 3 there. But yeah, it's a really nice one to wear. I enjoy wearing it, and I enjoyed it so much I decided to make another version, which I've actually just sewn recently, and you'll have seen part of the sewing process of this if you watch my recent week of sewing and chat vlog for October, which I'll link down below in case you fancy checking it out. I started making this version here in this really pretty viscose that I got from Rainbow Fabrics. It's really lovely, and with all these different sort of powdery blues and pinks and lavender colours on the floral, another ditzy floral print. And for my second version, I made a couple of changes. First of all, I made a forward shoulder adjustment because I found the shoulder seam was sort of slipping back slightly on my first version, so I adjusted that, and I included details of that adjustment in my sewing and chat vlog if you fancied having a look. And I also decided to change the neckline, and instead of finishing it with a neck facing like the pattern that the pattern says, I changed it to finish it with bias binding, so there's my bias bound neckline. And I much prefer that because I do find facings can be a bit of a pain if they don't lie flat, you have to iron them lots, and generally I just prefer a bias binding neckline, I think it looks a bit neater. So those are the changes I made. I made a short sleeve version again. It's got the elasticated waist. This version I haven't actually hemmed yet. I've been leaving it to hang, and I need to actually get around to asking my husband to help me measure it. He's quite good. He will help me with that sort of job to check if I need to make any adjustments before I hem this one. But that's my second version of the Lotta dress. It's a really nice, comfy and relaxed one to wear. Oh, and I forgot to mention for the Lotta, in terms of sizing, it is in the UK 6 to UK 24 size range. So the next two dresses I've got to share with you are kind of funny ones because I've made them both using a pattern that isn't actually a dress pattern, but I've hacked it to make two dresses out of it. And it's this pattern here. It is the Agonist Top Pattern. And it's a really nice jersey top pattern. It's got a few different variations, quite a simple scoop neck, sort of simple jersey top. But you can also make it a little bit special by adding a ruching to the sleeves or a ruching to the front of the top too. And yeah, it comes together really nicely. It does say it's a sewing pattern for improvers. I guess it's got a few more tricky areas like getting the neckband to lie flat. But it is a really nice pattern. Unfortunately, this is one of the older Tilly patterns that's only available in the smaller size range, UK 6 to UK 20. So that's a shame. But I've made two hacks of this pattern to make dresses. And the first one is the one I'm wearing at the moment. And I've hacked, this one is a hack to add a gathered skirt onto it. So you can see here, I've cropped the bodice and then added on a gathered skirt, and I'll put a picture up so you can see how that looks. I really like it. I think it's quite a cute hack of the Agonist pattern, and nice to have another variation for a pattern I already have. I used a tutorial on the Tilly and the Buttons website to make this hack. They kind of talk you through how to cut the skirt, how to calculate the width of the skirt, and how to sew it on. So I'll include a link to that tutorial in the description down below in case you're interested. And my version I made in a cotton jersey fabric, and this is an art gallery jersey, and it's the only time I've sewed with art gallery jersey, but it's really lovely and soft and cosy to wear. And I've worn this quite a few times and it's washed nicely. It's a bit of a different colour. I wouldn't usually go for a sort of plum colour, but I really like it and I enjoy wearing this one. So as my first hack of the Agonist top, I've made one other hack of the Agonist top to make a dress. And it's this dress here in this cool heart print fabric, which came from First for Fabrics. It's another cotton jersey. And this time I hacked it to add a skirt on that is an A-line skirt. And the way I hacked this one was to use the Freya skirt from the stretch book. I basically traced out the Agonist top and then merged it into the Freya dress to make the skirt. And I'll put up a picture of me wearing that one too, so you can see it, because I haven't got any line drawings or anything to show how it looks. I really like this one. I don't know why I haven't made another one actually, because I do wear this one a lot. It's really comfy and relaxed to wear. So those are my two hacks of the Agonist top by Tilly and the Buttons to make dresses. The next two dresses I've got to show you are both made using a pattern from this book, which is Make It Simple, and that's Tilly's most recent book. It's a really nice book, this one actually. I've made 3 patterns from this so far and I really like them all. But the pattern I used to make these dresses is the Tabitha t-shirt dress pattern. So it's a pattern for a t-shirt, but you can alter it into a t-shirt dress here with a drawstring waist. So it's quite a simple t-shirt design with a crew neck, and then you can add a skirt on and add a drawstring waist with a channel here to draw it in and make it into quite a cute little relaxed t-shirt dress. So I haven't actually made the Tabitha t-shirt at all, but I've made 2 versions of the dress. The first version I made was using some fabric I'd had for ages, and I kind of had earmarked for Christmas, but I never got around to making anything for Christmas out of it, and I thought it would make quite a cute summer dress for kind of relaxed t-shirt dress style anyway. And it's this one here. Yeah, so it's cotton jersey fabric I made, and I've added in a red cord and I added in little eyelets here, which I think finish it nicely, because you can sew in buttonholes, but I thought it would look smarter with eyelets because I've got the Prim Vario, whatever you call them. I'll link them down below, the tool I use to make these. Prim Vario pliers, I think it's called. Anyway, this is my version. So yeah, it's just quite straightforward. You have to sort of make your own pattern piece for the skirt, but Tilly takes you through how to do that in the book, and it's quite straightforward. I made a size 2 on the top and then graded to a size 3 on the hips, and I like the fit of that. I think if I'd have made the size 2 on the hips, it would have been a bit too snug on me, but I'll put a picture of me wearing it. It's just a really comfortable one to wear, this one. It's perfect for going on a bike ride with the children or day on the beach. I don't mind too much about it getting spoilt. It's a nice jersey fabric, so it washes really nicely. So it's just a really relaxed dress. And I wore it so much, I made a second version here in this cute cotton jersey that's white with black sort of spots on that makes me think of 101 Dalmatians. And then I added on sort of black top stitching just for a bit of fun. And a black cord around the waist. So that's my second version, quite similar to my first version. The only thing different I did on this version was I made a forward shoulder adjustment, because I found with my first version the neckband felt it was sitting a bit too high at the front. So I think I brought the, I think I adjusted by about 1.5 centimetres just to bring the shoulder seam forward, and the whole thing sits a bit more comfortably around my neck on this version. The first version is fine to wear, but this one's just a little bit more comfortable because the neckband just feels like it's sitting a bit more where it should be. That's my second version of the Tabitha t-shirt dress. It's a pattern that comes together really easily. I like how the drawstring waist gives it a bit of shape, and it's just really comfy to wear, that one. So my next dress I've got to share with you is one I made using one of Tilly's kind of classic vintage patterns, and it is the Coco Dress and top. So yeah, this is one of Tilly's older patterns, but I know it's kind of enduringly popular because it's got such a classic shape and it's quite a simple sew too. It's for jersey fabrics and it's designed for confident beginners. And these are the line drawings. So you can make it as either a top or a dress. And it's got either a boat neck or a 60s style funnel neck. And then it's not designed to be too tight fitting. It's kind of a loose fitting in a sort of gentle curve shape of the dress. And you can have patch pockets and little sort of sleeve cuffs too. So it's quite a simple silhouette. And I originally didn't think I was going to make this one because I'd made a few Freya dresses and I'd hacked the Agonist top to make a dress too. I thought I had plenty of jersey dresses. But last year, when I was planning my Make 9 2020, which is an Instagram hashtag where you sort of choose 9 patterns you'd like to sew for the year, I thought maybe I'd give it a go, considering it's a classic Tilly pattern and lots of people seem to love it. So I decided to make a version of it. And this is my version here. And I made it in this really cute cotton jersey fabric that's stripy with these little hearts on. So my fabric choice for this probably wasn't the best fabric choice for the pattern because it recommends medium weight fabrics with little stretch, like Ponte or double knit. But like I mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of Ponte, so I thought I'd give it a go with cotton jersey. And it actually turned out okay. The only thing I found a bit tricky was getting the neckline to lie flat. I had to give it a really good press. I think because the cotton jersey maybe stretched out slightly because you just turn under the fabric to sew it. And I think in a more stable fabric that wouldn't happen. So I think if I made this dress again, I might do the neckline slightly differently to make sure it didn't stretch out at all. But I think it's a really cute dress. I made the sort of elbow length sleeve on it. And yeah, it's got this sort of A-line shape that kind of curves out. The only thing I found on it was it did come up really large on me. So I made my standard Tilly size of size 2. I don't think I graded out at the hips on this one because I knew that there was a bit of room in the hips on this one. But I had to take it in quite a bit to get it to fit me and to feel comfortable because I felt, particularly I guess with the drapiness of the jersey fabric, it just felt like it was had no shape on me to start with. So yeah, I did need to take it in a little bit, but I'll put a picture up of how it looks now. And I really like it now actually. It's a really comfy and relaxed, simple dress to wear. And I definitely would like to make it again at some point. That is the Coco dress. Yeah, I've only made one version to date of that one. So I've got 2 final dresses to share with you that I made using a Tilly in the Buttons sewing pattern. And this is one of Tilly's older patterns. And it's a really nice one. It's a more summery pattern actually. And it's this pattern here. It is the Stevie top and dress pattern. And it's one of Tilly's patterns for beginners. And it's a really nice sew, this one. And I really enjoyed sewing this one when I was a fairly new sewist. And I'll show you the line drawings. It's quite a loose fitting top and dress pattern, quite a straight silhouette. It's got grown on sleeves and you add little cuffs, and it's got a back yoke and you can secure it either with a button and rouleau loop or a tie. And in terms of fabrics, it recommends light to medium weight woven fabrics such as linen, double gauze, chambray, cotton lawn and viscose. And I've made both my versions to quite summery versions in viscose and rayon fabrics, but I also think it would be really nice in a slightly more substantial fabric for winter, maybe layered over a turtleneck type top. I think that would look really nice too. And in terms of sizing on this one, unfortunately it's Tilly's smaller size range, so it goes from a UK 6 to a UK 20. But I do find it comes up on the large size, so I actually size down, and I've made both my versions in a size 1, the UK 6, rather than a size 2, which I would usually go for. But I'll show you my 2 versions. The first version I made is this one here. and I made it in this gorgeous rayon, and it's a Dashwood Studio rayon. It's really nice. It's got a navy base and all these little sort of spots on there in different colours. I think are really pretty. And I went for the tie at the back. So yeah, there's my dress. And it's really relaxed and comfy to wear, really breezy for summer. So I'll wear it as it is on a really hot day. But I also made a tie to pull it in the waist to give it more of a sort of fitted look as well. And I like that look too. And I'll put a picture of me wearing it. It's a really nice sew, and I really love this version. I really like the fabric. The only thing that I'm always a bit like, oh, about the fabric is that when I sewed it up, I hadn't come across Microtex needles before, and I think this fabric really needed a Microtex needle, because when I sewed it on a fine needle, but not a Microtex one, I end up with some runs in the fabric. So you can see I have a few snags. So if I make it again, I would definitely have sewn it all in a Microtex needle. But the snags don't show up too much when I'm wearing it. I don't think anyone but me would notice. Yeah, I really like that one. I think the fabric's really pretty, and that was my first Stevie dress. I then went on to make another one, and one of the things I really like about the Stevie is it's such a simple silhouette. I think you can pair it with quite a loud fabric and it will still look really lovely and not too much. So my second version I made using a slightly more loud fabric, I guess, or a bit more busy fabric, I guess you would say. This really pretty viscose, and this came from Stoff and Still, or Self-Made, I think, as they are now. And again, I made the tie back, and I made the size 1. It's a really pretty fabric with a blue base and lots of different pretty flowers on it. And I love this fabric so much. I didn't want to turn it into something that I might kind of think was faddy or anything. I wanted to turn it into something classic that I knew I'd be able to wear for a long time, because I thought the fabric was so pretty. So I'm really glad I went for a Stevie, because I think it really showcased the fabric, doesn't take away from it. And again, for this version, I made a belt so I can tie it in as well, and I'll put a picture of me wearing this one too. They're just really relaxed and easy to wear, really comfy and perfect for summer. But like I say, I do like the idea of layering it up for winter too. So that's my final dress pattern I've made by Tilly and the Buttons, which is the Stevie dress. So those are all of my dresses I've made using Tilly and the Buttons patterns. As you can see, I'm a big fan of Tilly and the Buttons patterns. I find them really enjoyable to sew, and I find them really wearable too. So I really love wearing each and every one of those dresses. Do you have a favourite Tilly and the Buttons pattern? I would love to find out what it is. You can drop me a line in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and for hearing all about my collection. If you've enjoyed this vlog, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would press the subscribe button, and also if you press the bell icon, you'll then get notified about my future vlogs. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you again soon. Bye!